as a business, we're focused exclusively on make-to-order manufacturing companies, engineer-to-order, configure-to-order. Because of that focus, it allows us to develop very, very close relationships with each and every one of our customers. We now have about 550, closer to 560 sites running Visibility.net. We have one ERP solution, which is called Visibility.net. It's all based on Microsoft technology. Our customers have the ability to influence R&D in a couple of ways. They get to weigh in on our product roadmap, our 5-year product plan. They also have the ability to work with us to enhance the product based on their specific needs and requirements, and we will incorporate those enhancements into the next version of the standard product. So it's a way for our customers to get exactly what they need from a functional perspective, but also for us to be able to continue to grow the product footprint, and it's a way that we can say very confidently and comfortably. We have about 96% of our customers are on the current release or one back, and that just speaks to the fact that we just don't have heavily modified versions of our solution out there in the market. A high-level summary of Visibility.net, excuse me, some excellent functionality in project management, job tracking, job management, shop floor tracking, built-in customer relationship functions, very strong from an order processing, product configurator, service, installation, very strong manufacturing, financial, and engineering functions. And then over on the right-hand side, some things that we do particularly well include job tracking and management, the built-in rules-based product configurator. We offer mobile data collection functions, the concept of a light shop floor user, so a light shop floor user being somebody simply performing timesheet entries or operation reports or inventory movements. Built-in web collaboration. It is fully multi-company with a built-in project accounting module, and incredible depth in terms of engineering, both from a part, bill of material, change control perspective, drawing management, and some nice integration API XML services to be able to integrate engineering, EPDM, PLM solutions with Visibility.net. A typical customer to Visibility is a small to mid-sized manufacturing company. They tend to be make-to-order or engineer-to-order or configure-to-order, but it's that to-order aspect that really is our strong suit and our sweet spot in terms of our marketing efforts and product development efforts. They tend to be responsible for the design all the way through the service. They prefer an integrated CRM solution for managing quotes and leads and prospects and sales activities and all that good stuff. They usually want a single platform, a single solution for the entire business. And from an IT perspective, they would like a mobile solution. They'd like to be able to do their own enhancements or customizations, which we fully support. They'd like to be able to personalize the system with reports and business intelligence. And then they'd like to use some existing XML integration services and workflow as well. So all of those things are delivered with the core system so that our customers can really become very, very self-sufficient with their use and continued enhancement of how they use Visibility.net. From an IT perspective, the takeaway here is that it's Microsoft-based, it's contemporary, it's mobile. There's zero software that has to be installed on the device, be it an iPad or a Windows device or a smartphone or an Android tablet. All you need is a web browser. We offer a couple of database choices, with Microsoft SQL Server being the majority of our installations. The solution can be deployed in the cloud, on-premise, or both, which means you could start with one and migrate to the other. And we offer some nice self-service upgrades and some nice data migration tools as part of the overall technology platform. From a benefits perspective, I'd prefer to show you most of these when we go through our demonstration. So this will really be the focus of our demonstration here today, is to talk about the collaborative features within the system and the user experience from an ease-of-use perspective, with importing and exporting and personalizations and drill downs and searches and workbenches and so forth. And then some of the excellent tools that we offer from a business intelligence, business visibility perspective, including the report writer and our BI module, which allows our customers to get to the the KPIs, key performance indicators, metrics, dashboards, kind of speedometer viewpoints, trending that they might want to do to be able to analyze how things are going within particular areas of the business. But I promise to show you most of these in just a couple of moments. From a module perspective, the core system includes these modules. I'll provide you details, or if we haven't already, we'll get you our standard product guide as a follow-up to today, so you know the details on each of these modules. But a very comprehensive system is included in the core modules, with some optional modules being made available for things like business intelligence, time and attendance, e-commerce collaboration, and those types of things. But for the most part, the majority of the functionality that our customers implement is maintained, is held really within this list. Customer successes, we have quite a few, and again, as a company exclusively focused on to-order manufacturing, each one of these customers falls in that category. They might be a heavy engineer-to-order manufacturing company like FMC Technologies. They may be configure-to-order like Supreme International. They configure products that service the agricultural marketplace, and they configure about 20 different models of products into unlimited numbers of combinations based on features and options. It could be more of a make-to-order company like Sun or Nanometrics. So again, across the board, each customer is going to have that component of to-order manufacturing within their focus. So why do folks like to work with us? Well, in general, from surveying our customers, they appreciate our focus. They know that we're not out there developing software to service healthcare, banking, retail, biopharma, for example. We really just stay true to ourselves and help make-to-order manufacturing and distribution service companies. Again, they also like, based on that focus, that we are able to develop a very close relationship with each customer, because there's a really good synergy between the type of customer that we service and the solution that we have. Again, all focused on the customers with heavy engineering, quoting, estimating, work in process, service, order processing, accounting requirements. They tend to appreciate that we're always investing into our one and only solution, and that our enhancements become standard product. That tends to be a really good relationship, or a good aspect of our relationship for both parties. We haven't touched on it yet, but at the appropriate time, we'd like to introduce you to our approach towards implementations, being low cost, or lean, if you will, in terms of being able to implement Visibility.net in a typical 4 to 6 month project, and hopefully attain our go live date on time and under budget. We bring some nice combinations of people, processes, and product to help our customers do just that. Again, the average time frame is about 6 months for those implementations. It's a solution that we offer that embraces mobility, so you can use Visibility anytime, anywhere, as long as you have access to the internet or your network and a web browser. And again, we offer a contemporary Microsoft technology platform as the foundation for Visibility.net. Let me pause for a second there while I bring up the software and see if there are any questions that I can answer about who we are and what we do. And if so, I'll answer those, and if not, we can dive into the demonstration.
None for me.
Okay. So far, so good. Can you hear me okay? And is the pace of content okay as well?
Good here.
All right, very good. Excellent. So let's talk for about 45, 50 minutes or so about Visibility.net, and give you folks the 10,000-foot view, if you will, of our solution. We'll cover a lot of the aspects of the user experience, so you get a sense of comfort in terms of how do you jump around the system, how do you find data, how do the reports work, what if I want to use some sort of automated workflow messaging system. We'll touch on how importing of data works, exports of data, business intelligence. We'll talk about extending visibility as well, things like adding user-defined fields, user-defined text boxes, comments, notes, document management. So we'll cover a lot here in the next 45 minutes. And then I'll plan to do a very brief, for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, kind of a little high-level quote-to-cash walkthrough. We'll start with a quick quote. We'll use the product configurator. We will turn that quote into a sales order. We could work up an estimate as an optional aspect to support the quote. And we can take that sales order, turn that into a series of production orders to be able to satisfy that sales order. And then we'll probably just, based on timing, we probably can pause there. But we can certainly touch on how that then feeds the shipping aspect of visibility and invoicing and accounts receivable, AP, GL, and so forth. So that's sort of the purpose of what we'll try to accomplish here in the next little bit. We're going to focus on the user experience for the next 20 minutes or so, and three aspects to visibility: the visibility My Portal, the typical menu, and then the favorites section of visibility. The My Portal is a section of visibility that you can completely configure for each individual user. So for my user ID, I have a list of favorite activities, business intelligence reports, the business intelligence dashboard, a daily flash report, if you will, of key information like shipments. And then down on the left-hand portion of this window, I have the action items that are coming to my user ID based upon workflow triggers that are set up within the system. So each user can configure their own experience so they have exactly what they need on their home page, if you will, your start page within visibility. If they want to add favorites to their favorites list, they simply click on that little button to be able to do just that. If they want to drill down to the business intelligence module, they'll select the appropriate data warehouse and do that drill down. If they want to see what visibility is telling them to do, in this case it looks like I'm wearing a purchase order requisition approval hat. So the system is routing things to me electronically via our workflow engine. And we can open that just by double-clicking on it, and we could go ahead and review that and print it, and if needed, I should say, or review it and approve it or reject it for more information necessary right from here. So one of the underpinnings to the Visibility.net solution is a built-in workflow notification module that allows you folks at Retail One to define what automation processes are within Visibility.net, and to be able to notify users based on either internal messages or email messages, or even text messages for that matter, about transactions that have happened in the system. So if sales orders need approval, or a sales order has exceeded a credit limit, or there's a change order on a job, or a quote that needs review, or a missed delivery, a cost overrun. Those are good examples of workflow triggers that you folks can set up yourselves and maintain yourselves, so that when those business transactions occur in visibility, we notify a group of users, an individual user, could even be a vendor or a customer depending on what the notice might be, and start to try to help eliminate manual processes that may exist today. Manual being I have to call someone, email someone, run a report, print out a form, put a sticky note on it, leave it on somebody's desk. We want to be able to automate those things by embedding those things within the workflow system. So right from the very beginning, taking a look at the portal, hopefully you're starting to get a sense of the personalization that's built into Visibility.net in terms of your ability to enhance and improve on the experience, whether it's favorites or workflow messages or key reports or dashboard metrics. These are all things that are absolutely tailorable at the end user level without having to be IT or be technical or involve IT. There are a lot of self-service personalization features that are built in. We have the concept of the traditional modular menu that we'll use today, and then we also have the concept of the traditional favorites listing. For my user ID, I need to be able to present and highlight all aspects of visibility, so I have a comprehensive list of favorite activities, and users can simply add to this list, do little types of drag and drop development of their own menuing structure by using that favorites edit button in the top right portion of the screen. Okay, let's jump into a window here real quick. Let's touch on some more user experience features from the context of the part master or the item master. not necessarily to go through all the functionality of what a part is in visibility and what you can do with it, but just to sort of give you a sense of all of the global features that are in visibility.net in terms of the user experience and the ability for users to have a very efficient, productive, streamlined user experience within visibility. The first thing I'll touch on is our customers have complete control over all aspects of the look and feel of the screen. So labeling, if you want to call things different labels, you can do that. If certain things should not be visible to a customer, or a user, I should say, those things disappear based on their role codes and their settings. If you like our traditional kind of a royal blue background and font with white representing optional fields, blue meaning required fields, that's great. If you don't like it and you want to change the color scheme, those are all just style sheets that you have full control over as well. So you can change things around if you had a Retail One specific color scheme or branding if you wanted to stick with it. That's perfectly fine. If we talk about how to find data for a moment here, let's touch on some of the features that are available in terms of the global search capabilities within visibility.net. And again, everything that we're going to cover in about the next 10 or 15 minutes applies to the entire system. So I think I heard cost accounting, CFO, COO titles, so whether you're in operations, sales, or accounting, these features will be global. So once you learn how to search for a part, you've learned how to search for any other piece of data within visibility.net. So let's talk about that. The search feature, sometimes we call it a look-aside, allows a user to be able to search for, let's say, all buy parts that are currently active that have maybe been added since, we'll say beginning of the year. Let's go back till the 1st of January.
All of our...
Was that a question or just some background noise?
That's background. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No problem. Just want to make sure. And let's say this is a search that this user is going to routinely perform here, but also anywhere in visibility where they're looking for part information. If that's the case, they can click on the Add to My Filters button, and they could simply give it a name like Retail One Parts Listing, something like that, something simple. And by clicking OK, now that's stored as part of this user's profile. So if I'm over in purchasing, material planning, work in process, AP invoicing, purchasing or receiving, I have that same look-aside, lookup, if you will, available from my drop-down list. It should be probably down here under the R's. Retail One Parts Listing, there we go. And you'll see that available, and you can run that right from here. Before I do that, I just want to also mention that you can search for user-defined fields, user-defined text boxes, and inventory size or physical attributes as well. So the search features also take into consideration any extensions that you folks have performed to visibility.net so that it allows you to find a particular piece of text, or if you have a user-defined field on a part, a customer, a sales order, a purchase order, a work order, or a journal entry, you'll be able to search for those things as well. When you click on the search button, you'll receive a listing of results. So here's all the items that met the criteria that we've selected here. If you like the way the screen looks, great, but as always, we offer a very flexible system, and you can enhance and change things if you need to. So I might want to come in here and say, oh, I want to hide status, engineering control, lot serial, but I don't want to hide the type of the part or the revision. Clicking on the OK button reorders the form for the user. If you want to grab something over here, maybe on the right-hand side, like the product description or the product line description, you can simply grab that and drag that over and put it in the appropriate area of the system. If you want to take revision and put that next to the description, you can do that. If you'd like to sort things by the column heading of description, simply do that. Visibility.net remembers how you like to see information as part of your personal profile. So again, from the office, and I like to see things one way, but then I happen to be out on the road and I'm on my tablet and I need to bring up the same information. It knows based on your login ID that you like to see customers this way, parts this way, sales orders this way, POs that way. So it's a very, very easy way for a user to make the experience with the data they're working with in visibility highly, highly relevant. The other thing you can do on any report and grid window, which by the way makes up about 75% of our whole solution, is you can export that form or that result set out to a spreadsheet as part of the standard Excel export utility. So with a couple of clicks, we've taken that result window, formatted it how we like to see it, sorted it how we like to see it, filtered the data down to what we needed to see, and then for whatever reason we might want to dump that out to Microsoft Excel for additional analytics. So very easy to do that using the standard grid functions within visibility. If we select one of these and retrieve that item, it now brings that record into the screen. We group things into logical groupings for tabs. So on the part master, you'll see things relating to general, engineering, purchasing, production, finance, and lot serial. If I were over on the customer master, I'd see things relating to addresses and contacts and terms and those types of things. If I'm over on the work order system, I'll see things relating to scheduling and operations and bills of material and so forth. So that's kind of how searching works. And again, the search works globally the same way. So now that we've kind of gone through a little bit on how to find data, if I put you at a terminal or a PC right now or an iPad, you could go do the same thing that we just did on a purchase order or a sales order, on a cost accounting report, on a journal entry, on an AR invoice, AP invoice, could be anything. I'm going to open up a second iteration of that same part screen. So yes, we are a browser-based application and then we run entirely in a browser. However, we've built far more functionality into the user experience than you might get on a typical HTML or web page. And so the things that you're used to doing with normal Windows applications, you'll certainly be able to do that with visibility as well. So for today, I'm just going to use one of my sample part numbers here, and I actually want to open up a third window just for fun, and I want to do another quick little search. And what I want to find is we also want to work with a product configurator type of an item today. And so I want to look for a good example of an item that we can use in our product configurator demonstration a little bit later. So I'm just going to do that search while I'm here now. All right, so I see a few that I think we can work with. All right, so let's go back to the other aspects of the user experience within visibility.net that I want to introduce. The first is, again, the ability to extend visibility, and I kind of gave a sneak preview to this just a moment ago when we were looking at the search. There are unlimited user-defined field capabilities built into visibility.net. So if you want to add data fields to parts, bills of materials, customers, vendors, sales orders, work orders, journal entries, you can absolutely do that. You get to control the format of the user-defined field, the valid data. You can make them optional. You can make them required. So we have a whole wealth of different things that we want to track on the individual item numbers as part of a UDF, and those UDFs can absolutely be printed on reports and filtered and formatted, and already how you can find those things as well. The next button over, sorry, question.
Can you put those UDFs on any screen? Can you define where they're going to show?
You can, in fact. So with the user-defined field allows you to define what the user-defined fields are for that particular screen or window. So for parts, I'll have a few. For customers, I might have some more. And for vendors, I might have some different ones, for example. And then you also then have the ability to define where those user-defined fields get used elsewhere in the system. So should they show up on a certain sales report? Should they show up on a certain purchasing report? So absolutely, very flexible in terms of being able to deploy those. The other aspect of enhancing visibility.net comes in the form of these text boxes like I have up here in the system. So we might have Retail One non-printable text note, something like that. And what that does is that gives you the ability to define as many of these text boxes as you want. So I have some for standard work instructions, build instructions, country of origins, and so forth. I have a whole bunch of these just as examples in our demonstration system here. Similar to UDS, but also a little bit more capable in terms of how it can be deployed, is these text boxes can be redirected. So if you put a text box on let's say a part, and you want to make sure that prints on the work order traveler or on the packing list or the pick ticket, you can redirect that text anywhere else in the system. So it's very helpful if you have standard text or special notes or comments that you want to make sure people down the line see. That's a great way to use that text redirect feature. To capture internal communications, we have a comment tree, kind of like a little collaboration message board. What's the right word? It's escaping me. Kind of like a running, dialogue of information about a particular piece of data within visibility.net, like a news feed or a feed of information. So you can have user ID, time and date stamp, different topics, different comments, comments upon comments, and so forth. And then a creative way to use our workflow module with comments is to hook the two together so that you could be notified when somebody adds a comment to a comment that you added. So kind of like a little social media collaboration aspect, except built into visibility.net. And then last but not least is our document management features, where you can manage attachments to data within visibility.net. So we could attach engineering drawings to parts, emails to customers, PDF documents to quotes, Excel spreadsheets to budget entries. Could be anything. No limit to the number of attachments, and the system simply uses the native application either to view or edit those documents. When you double-click on a PDF, it opens Adobe. When you double-click on an Excel spreadsheet, it opens Microsoft Excel, etc. So if you want to maintain and store those relevant pieces of data that live outside of visibility in visibility, that's an excellent way to be able to accomplish that. And then from here, the last couple of things I'll mention in terms of the overall user experience is we want to make it very easy for users to manage their individual tasks from wherever they happen to be performing those tasks. So if the user is in the middle of editing for some reason a part number, we want to make it easy for them to drill down to related tasks. So managing costs and MRP information, bills of material, drawings, manufacturers. Those are all things that are very easy to do via the drop-down. The asterisk is simply a little visual cue that there's data for that particular item. So if I choose the bill of material, we'll see that there's the bill of material for this particular item. If we wanted to then drill down to the copy function, and maybe I want to do some quick little same as accept development of a bill. So this little 37 part number on the right is like this 10-1000 part number on the left. So I want to take maybe this sub-assembly on the left and stick that over here on the part number on the right. You can do that very easily with just a couple of quick little mouse clicks, and then say, well, I don't really need this one, and I don't really want this one, and I don't want this one. So you can kind of do some quick drag and drop development of a new bill of material if that was relevant. Sorry, I got a little deep there on that function, but hopefully you got a sense of some of the ease of use functions that are built in, but I didn't want to get too stuck on what a bill of material is. I'm happy to do that at some point, but it's just a simple example of how to drill down. The system always knows where you started and where you drilled down to. So we started at our part screen, we went to the bill of material, and now we're at the split copy screen. And if I wanted to drill down from here to the routings, I want to see all the operations that it takes to put together this sample part number. You can do that right from here as well. The actions are also context sensitive, so if ever you wanted to, if you like the list, great, but if you want to change it and add to it, you can absolutely do that as part of the presentation layer of the software. You can add additional drill downs where applicable within the system. Reports essentially work the same way, except they're reports. So you can drill down from here to sales orders, work orders, inventory, it could be anything. So if I wanted to see all of the work orders for every time where I've built this particular item, that's just a simple drill down. All of our reports can be generated as an HTML page. Excel or PDF version of the document. If you choose HTML, the benefit is that there's hyperlinks built in so you can drill down on our reports. So our reports are very, very interactive. You can choose a report, and again, if you see something in blue, you can drill down. If you wanted to generate this as a nice PDF document, we'll choose that as an option, and then to launch the PDF version of this particular report. Let me make that full screen. And I guess my zoom level is a little bit big, but anyways, you get the concept of how the PDFs work. But the nice thing when you choose the options for as an HTML version of the report, once you drill down, you're presented with a wealth of other areas where you can go within the system. So if I know I want to drill to part history or the general, I don't have any, but the general ledger detail on this work order. Let me pick one that actually has some history here. Let's pick this one here. There we go. If I choose that same work order and we drill down, hopefully we'll see a little bit more, and that's much better, much more interesting. We can see the bill of material. We can see all the individual operations. If I want to know more details about that operation, simply highlight it and be able to drill down to the dispatch list or the load versus capacity summary. Or I think I heard a couple of financial titles in the introduction. So I need to see the GL transactions that happened on this job. And let me just drill down to that, and I can see over here there's a reference. That must be a journal entry. Let me see what that looks like. So I'll drill down a little further, and I can see that it looks like it was a transaction that hit our inventory account, and the offset was our cost of goods sold work in process account number. So I did a lot there, and I did it relatively quickly, but I also did that on purpose, just so you get a sense of how easy it is to start. I started way back on our part screen. We drilled down into the bill of material. We were looking at routings. Then I realized I needed to do some research on a work order for this particular part number, so I wanted to drill down to that. Then I realized I want to look at the cost accounting side of things and the GL entries that happen as a result of this particular transaction, so I drilled there. And again, in the top right, the system always knows where you are, where you've been, and what you have open. If you ever need to close them all at once, there's a refresh button that refreshes your session so you don't have to go close each individual one. But there's no reason you can't leave all these open too. There's no limit to the amount of windows that you might want to have open in your individual session. So that's kind of a high-level overview of some basics of the user experience with visibility. A couple of last-minute things that I didn't hit. There's very thorough online documentation built into visibility.net. So if you want to learn about how you can control parts and what a prototype is and what an obsolete part is and how change control works, very thorough documentation built into visibility.net. You also have the ability so that you can add your own documentation and embed that documentation right within the appropriate screen within visibility.net as well. And then if we jump back to our main menu, if we jump back to our main portal, I want to launch a second window to cover one other item while I talk about this, which is to wrap up with our business intelligence module. And then we'll do a quick little quote to cash flow here for the next few minutes. Before I do that, one of the modules that's very important to most of our customers in their implementations is called business intelligence. It's our analytics module, report writing, dashboard module. That's what we call it. We offer 10 data warehouses of information where we've summarized thousands and thousands of transactions and data points down to 10 easily consumable data warehouses, data marts. And the easiest thing to do is to probably show how those are used. And actually an easy way to do that is to launch Excel and look at some of the pivot tables that we can do within the business intelligence module. So the BI module is really doing all the hard work that takes all the data and transforms it up to a level where you can use pivot tables, for example, to be able to format and come up with your own report. So if you can drag a field from a table like we have listed here, like I want to see, customer name, I want to drag that over there or add that as a filter or a physical period, you can do that easily by just dragging a field. So you can see, and everything is in English, so all of our data fields are very, very simply named and very clear, so you know exactly what you're getting. So basically, if you have a user who can do basic things within an Excel pivot table, you now know our report writer. So there's no mystery. If they can do basic functions in a spreadsheet, they can build comparisons to compare year-to-date sales going back for the last 5 years, broken down by territory, market, region, sales rep, product line, could be anything. So very, very easy to build reports. You don't have to do it in Excel. I'm just showing it because it's the most common and most popular way to be able to manage reporting within visibility.net. The other option would be to use something like Microsoft Reporting Services, which gets delivered as standard with Microsoft SQL Server, our preferred database platform, so that you can go through and using their report writer, report builder function, the user can go in and build dashboards and metrics and key performance indicators and trending and speedometers and all that kind of good stuff. And if they want to drill down on that particular period and see, you know, year-to-date sales, what's the makeup of that, which is probably going to pull in some demonstration data, which isn't the most clean, but it's just a sample of some of the work that you can be doing within the BI module. You know, to be able to get to this concept of, you know, real, tangible BI metrics and key performance indicators is now a reality for all of our visibility customers because they have such easy tools to pull the data and format it and sort it and sequence it and publish it and consume it very, very simply. So that BI module is just a nice way to finish up the user experience portion of our demonstration, just to give you a sense that the reporting and the analytics and the information tracking within visibility.net is very, very, very powerful, and again, is all packaged within that BI module. So before I move on with kind of our quote to cash flow, are there any questions I can answer about the overall user experience?
Does that BI module come loaded with predefined reports, or are they all, do we develop those from scratch as to our specific needs?
You can build them from scratch to your specific needs. Our sense is with the business intelligence module is it's so easy to use. Again, if you can build the basic pivot table, you know how to build reports. That we focus kind of our efforts on doing all the hard part, which is transforming thousands and thousands of tables into 10 consumable data warehouses, and then giving you easy tools to be able to build your own reports. So we don't deliver any canned reports or metrics, but we give you a great tool set so you can do it yourself. Okay.
And real quickly, on this screen we're looking at, you have the business intelligence, you have the dashboard, and then the daily flash report. All three like come from the BI module?
Correct. So the concept here is this first section of BI would be if I want to drill into one of the 10 data warehouses, I can do that right from here. And in my case, again, I chose Excel, but you could pick whatever you want, Crystal Reports or whatever, to be able to build a report from scratch or access existing ones that I've built. And then the concept on the right is to sort of convey the sense that, you know, part of the BI module is that you'll be able to develop and deliver, publish, and consume dashboards, flash reports, metrics, and so forth, and then have those things just be presented and refreshed at your discretion, but usually daily, refreshed so that they reflect the most current information. But yes, absolutely, all of that gets pulled from the source of the business intelligence module.
All right.
Okay. So let's go ahead and do a bit of a quote to cash, not necessarily every step, but we'll get through a majority of it because we understand the nature of your business is quite similar to all of our customers, which is you do start with quotes and leads and prospects, and you need to sort of manage the process all the way through the entire customer life cycle and product life cycle. So let's kind of talk about how we can help you do just that. In our quoting and estimating system, this is where we offer some, not all, but some of the customer relationship functionality that I alluded to in our opening presentation. So managing things like, oh gosh, let's see, quotes and prospects and leads and sales activities and estimates and those things are all going to live within this quoting module. For today, let's go ahead and just start with, let's enter a quote. We'll put in a few line items, and then we'll win the quote and kind of continue on the process. So I'll kind of go at a pretty quick pace here. If you know who you're quoting, you can just type it in. If you don't, there's a nice search feature there. I'm going to go ahead and for today, just go ahead and grab one of my customers from my sample database here. We can assign this to a particular category and a business segment. You can assign a different individual expiration date. We track all kinds of different statuses and user-defined reason codes for quotes. And then you can absolutely track a wealth of detail on the quote itself, like probabilities and due dates and projected close dates and pipeline descriptions and stages and all that kind of fun stuff. It can all be captured and tracked on the quote itself. Let's add a couple of line items. We'll add 3. Let's go ahead and say I'm going to add something that's more of a, I'll call it a stock part. Not that you folks may do a lot of this, but you might. I'll go ahead and grab one of my standard stock sample item numbers here, and I'll sell 2 of them, and I'll accept the default list price. We'll add a second line item, which is an engineer-to-order system. I don't really ever sell or maintain these. I sell these, sorry, but I don't ever develop standard bills of materials for these things because they really are custom in nature. And to do that, we'll want to work up an estimate to do just that, and I promise to show you that here in just a little bit. And then the third option would be more of a configured item. So I think I have an example of a cabinet, and it may not necessarily be highly relevant to you guys, but hopefully the concept of a configurator will make sense. Since it's a configured item, what it does is it launches the particular individual details of a cabinet. So I could choose from a standard configuration. So if I have a standard list of options and features that I want to be able to pick from, you could certainly do that, and it'll preload the configurator. Or it's kind of like, configuring, anything, but in this case it happens to be a cabinet, where you can select the individual options, so width and selections and door styles and wood species, and I'll pick red birch, for example, and then there's hardware that we can select and so forth. And as you go along, if you've made a mistake or if there's an error, you'll be presented with that information here. If there's pictures of the information, you'll see that presented here. And you'll notice that as I've been going along, the system is flushing out the bill of material and the routing steps that we're going to need to do to be able to satisfy this configured item. So this is a very capable, powerful, rules-based product configurator with formulas, features, and options, so that you can configure a custom room, a custom kitchen, a custom display area, a custom display itself, all within the configurator, and be assured that at the end, what we have configured is a sellable, valid, buildable configuration that meets the customer's precise needs. And again, we'll save that. We'll system calculated our price, and we'll go ahead and close that out. The other item to support more of your engineer-to-order environment would be to work up an estimate that supports your quote line. And for today, I won't necessarily enter a brand new one in the interest of time. I'll just pick one that's out there just so we can get a sense of the overall capabilities. You'll notice there was a little bit of a delay or a hiccup in launching this screen. That's only because I recently did an upgrade, and the first time you go into a screen after the upgrade, it takes a few seconds. You'll notice that if I do it again, it comes up in less than a second. So in the estimating module, this allows you to be able to maintain and manage individual estimates associated with the particular quote. So if I wanted to be able to enter or manage a new quote or an estimate, I can do that here. What I want to do is actually just bring one up since I already have a few out there. Let's go ahead and look at our estimate list. There we go. And I'm just going to grab a template here for today and click on the maintenance button. So in less than 30 seconds, to summarize the estimating module, because I don't know enough about you folks to know how critical this is, but this might be a tool that would support your sales efforts by giving you a template-based estimating system to start to capture all of the costs and the material and the labor that you're going to need to be able to deliver that engineered room, engineered system. And Roger just sent me a little note, which again is important to talk about as well, which is we support the ability to do estimating here, but we also fully understand that you may do some of that in Wood CAD/CAM and maybe perhaps import that information into the quote. So I want to give you the sense of comfort that we have some built-in estimating tools, but we also fully understand that you may leverage a lot of the tools in your in Wood CAD/CAM, for example, to be able to process those estimates as well. But either way, if it happens, some customers do their estimating in an Excel spreadsheet, others do it in Wood CAD/CAM, some folks do it in Visibility. However that comes to pass, you can be able to take the comfort that within Visibility we're going to have the right places to capture and track your costs, your material, your estimates, your markups, your margins, your profit information, and labor details and operations, so that we can ideally at the end click that little copy estimate to quote button, and it updates the costs from the estimate to your quote, so you can look at your sale price and make sure that you're feeling good about your profit margin. Okay, so back on our quote. Let's say through the miracle of time and technology, we want to win our quote. So we're going to go ahead and click on that quote to sales order copy. In this case, the customer wants the stock part number, the engineered system, and the stock cabinet, or a configured cabinet. We'll click on the Save button, and if we click on the Order Maintenance button, we now have a valid sales order. So we'll go ahead and put in a customer PO, and we'll indicate that it's received and approved. And now that we have a sales order, again, I hope we get to learn a lot more about each other, and one of the areas I'd want to learn about is how you might use project management and project accounting within Visibility. If you're like our heavy engineer-to-order customers, you may use this extensively, where you'll create a project, and the project will have tasks and cost types, and you'll want to track actual costs and material and labor and time and installation and setup, and you'll have budgets, and you'll track installment progress plan, installment billing plans and payment plans and milestones, and you'll have revenue recognition requirements to be able to recognize some portion of the revenue as you go through the life cycle of that project. So we have extensive, excellent functionality if project accounting and project management is of interest to you folks. So there's our 3 line items on our sales order. We'll click on the search button. I'll bring that up. Whoops, let me go back to a different view here so we can see it. Let's go to the grid window. It's a little bit of a nicer window to be able to see all the things that we might want to do. So there's our 3 lines that we've got the details. If for some reason we change the ship date and we want to have that update the associated work order date, you can do that right from here. To bridge the gap between sales and production is very simple with Visibility. From the sales order screen itself, you can click on a button called Create Work Orders. What this will do is if we I'll pick line 1 just for fun, because line 2 has a lot of detail and line 3 doesn't have much detail. So line 1 is a good sample to show the bridge between sales orders and production. But basically what we offer is if you click on any one of those line items, and let's say we're going to build, we'll say 2. It's just telling me I'm building more than I need to, which is fine. If we click on the Save button, what the system does is it'll look through the multi-level bill of material structure for that part number, and it will create a job packet or a job hierarchy that we can then use to schedule production and build the individual items. This isn't obviously a Retail One specific part number, it's just a sample from our database. But the system basically looked at the lead times and the routings and so forth and said, well, if we're going to complete this on the 6th of October, we'll need to release it on the 21st of September. And actually some of my sub work orders, as you can see, are going back in time here a little bit based on some of my dates in my demo database. But you know, it's saying that for this work order, we need to build one of these, and one of these. And for this subassembly, we need to build one of these. So the system creates all of the work orders that are necessary to be able to satisfy that parent sales order line item demand. And it's perfect for the make-to-order manufacturer that wants to have very tight pegging between the work order where you're building the products and the sales order and the line numbers that were actually coming from the demand side of things. So we track in very great detail the sales order, the line, the release, and then from here we can schedule the operations. We can look at the bill of material. So the system is going to bring in our engineering as designed bill of material, which we likely have imported from, in your case, Wood CAD/CAM or potentially Wood CAD/CAM. We can allocate and issue material right from here. We can manage the production scheduling, the schedule detail, the material detail, the labor information. The shop traveler is all managed from within the work order. And then at the appropriate time, we can report movements of inventory or movements of product steps and time associated with that via what we call move time entry. And then the last step would be if we wanted to record a production receipt that would receive the parts into inventory, allocate them to the sales order, generate a picking and packing slip, and be able to ship that directly out to the customer either on your own trucks or if you outsource your logistics to other parties. So a very easy way to manage the process in a make-to-order environment of linking the work order to the sales order, again, all via that work order hierarchy functionality. If we pause for a second and then look at some other things away from the sales arena, I just want to highlight a few other key things that tend to be very important for our make-to-order client base, which is the first being we have some excellent tools, and I'll kind of speak to the menu level for just a few moments. We have some excellent tools for being able to help our customers manage both material and shop capacity. So material constraint management, traditional material requirements planning, MRP, is all built into visibility, as is planning for capacity of machines and capacity for labor resources. That's all built into the CRP, capacity requirements planning aspect of visibility.net. The other aspect is we can help you with master production scheduling, where you can do your forecasting, simulations, what-if types of processes to see impacts on both capacity and material as a result of sales orders, forecasts, adjusted forecasts, and so forth. And towards the middle portion of that window are some very important workbenches that our customers use to be able to manage the material planning requirements and know what to buy, when to buy it, how much to buy, who to buy from, how much to pay for it, all via automated MRP recommendation workbenches. So if we picked purchasing, for example, we could see the details associated with here's what the system is recommending, and from there you can then turn those recommendations into actual purchase orders. Those actual purchase orders get managed in the purchasing module itself, and this is an area where we have extensive functionality in purchasing and inventory control for helping you manage RFQs, purchase orders, requisitions, receiving inspection, supplier performance, supplier part cross-reference information, and then a wealth of reports in the purchasing arena to sort of give you a sense of supplier details, open POs, purchase order history, purchase price variance reports. If you have intercompany transactions, we'll help you with those things as well. And then equally capable and strong inventory analysis and reports associated with inventory tracking, lot number tracking, serial number tracking, history, transaction details, physical inventory, cycle counts, and so forth. And then the last area that I'll mention before I touch on some of the financial aspects for a little bit is a very capable shop control module that helps kind of bring everything we've talked about together. So capacities, work orders, work centers, operations, routings, material management, requisitions, dispatch lists. Those are all things that are done within the standard shop control module within visibility.net. And then if we jump back to our sales order here for a second, upon completion of the sales order, which if we went through the shipping functions, we can go ahead and allocate, pick, and ship all the information to the customer. In this case, I don't think I have anything to be able to ship, but if we did, we could record that ship and freight information details and then generate an invoice right from here and then review that invoice and post that into accounts receivable. So at which case that invoice is eligible for cash receipt processing, whether it's lockbox integration or manual cash receipt. We could process the cash receipt against that generated AR invoice based upon the details of what we shipped to the customer. So again, I wanted to spend 20 or so minutes introducing a high-level quote-to-cash flow with a lot of focus on the front-end engineering side of things and sales and quoting side, but a little bit of detail in terms of order processing and work-in-process tracking and work orders themselves, a little bit on purchasing and inventory control, a little high-level information about some of the accounting functions. But in addition to AR and invoicing, like I mentioned, we have very capable AP functions, cost accounting, general ledger, and then general ledger reporting. That's all built into the standard reports for visibility.net, are all built into the menus that are available within, sorry, I lost my train of thought. The standard financial reports are all available within the GL, and as I showed earlier in my drill down example, you can very easily run any of the financial reports and drill down to the detail if needed. So you'll be able to run an income statement or a trial balance or a estimated versus actual report and be able to drill down on all of those details as you see fit. So let me pause. Like I indicated at the beginning, I prepared about roughly an hour of content today. It doesn't mean we have to end the demonstration now. I just wanted to be respectful of everybody's time and try to cover a lot in a little bit of time, but give you enough of a sense that we really have a great solution for the make-to-order, engineer-to-order manufacturing company, and then also allow time for questions. So if there aren't any questions, we can wrap up, but if you have questions and want to see certain aspects of visibility.net, I'm happy to do that as well.
Can you show us how we would be on a daily basis looking at our plant capacity and if we need to, move items around between work cells or whatnot?
So let's look at a few things. Good question. So let's take a look at a few different things that we offer in that shop scheduling arena. The first is we absolutely have sort of the classic, or I guess I would call traditional dispatch list. So the tools that are built into visibility from a standard reporting perspective, and I'm just going to go back a little bit of time just so we see some data here. So the classic kind of a operation dispatch list broken out by workstation and work center is absolutely available. We'll show you the individual work orders, the operations, the resources, the start and completion date, the time required, the run time remaining, and quantity. So we'll always give you a sense of kind of what's going on in the facility, what the details might be, and again, the items in blue give you a full hyperlink with the ability to drill down to the associated details. So I could drill into the actual work order itself, or we could look at job cost information. We could look at the shop routing. We might want to do a routing Gantt chart. So if you want to see what's going on in the shop in terms of a graphical representation of the individual operations, this isn't the most exciting example. There's only one operation. But if you want to present things in more of a graphical view, you can absolutely do that. Or let me pick one that has a little bit more detail here. Let's grab that one. And let's go do that again. Next, let's go to the work order, and we'll get to it a different way. From there, if we then wanted to go in and see the details of the individual operations for that particular item, we can see that graphically and so forth. So the beginning part of my answer to your question, which is a very good question, is we offer some very simple reports, graphical views of information to be able to see what's going on in the shop and what we might want to do and so forth. To enact change, there's lots of ways you can make changes to your production schedule, but the one that's probably the most popular amongst our client base is the scheduling workbench. This allows you to filter based on workstation, work center, work order, date, project. Again, this is the first time I've launched this screen since I did an upgrade last week, so there was a little hiccup there. But again, you can filter on all of the data fields that you see up in the top portion of the screen, and then you can make changes right from here. So if I pick my WB100 workstation, on the left-hand side, what the system will show me is all of the individual operations that are currently scheduled for that particular area. If I want to make changes to that, I can simply highlight that and come over here and click, click on the reschedule button, put it out till the end of the month, click reschedule. The system would go out and then reschedule that particular operations and the start dates and so forth. We also have more of a global scheduling function as well that allows you to go through and make changes to, let's say, production capacities or individual work orders, and then have an overnight report run that basically updates your production schedules based upon those individual capacity changes. So we could make changes there. We could look at a graphical representation in our Gantt chart. We'll give you kind of a visual representation of what's going on in terms of the production activity. And then again, the screen back here is where we can actually enact changes to your, again, your capacities or your resources and your work centers and those forth. So if there's things that need to happen, we want to put it on a different workstation or a different date and so forth, we can do that right within the interactive scheduling workbench. The only piece that I didn't hit is one where you can actually make changes to your production capacities, and that's over in our shop control module.
Scott, back up real quick.
Yeah.
When you were describing that last functionality, what do you mean about let it run overnight to reschedule everything? What are you talking about there?
So I probably shouldn't have said that very well. All I should have said is we have a scheduled job, and I'll show you what it looks like, that you can run at your discretion, and it's called Shop Control Daily Scheduling. I said overnight only because it seems like in general our customers set that to run as more of a scheduled job, like at 2 a.m. every night, so that it updates the routing operations based upon changes to, let's say, capacities, for example. You don't have to do what I'm saying, but what's popular amongst our client base is if they're in and out all day long making changes to capacities and moving people amongst work centers and workstations, that's great. But if they want to then take those changes and have them kind of do like a global mass update where based upon adding an extra shift, I want to see how many work orders can I pull into this particular daily period or this particular time period, there's usually that scheduling job that gets run at some point that does all of that kind of grouping and tidies things up for you. So not a requirement, just more of a, I should have said more of an automated way to update production schedules based on a whole bunch of inputs.
But if we're making changes to a schedule, moving stuff from work center to work center, it's all changing it in real time, and is it going to tell us if there's conflicts with other jobs at that point?
It will if you're using finite scheduling. So one of the options on a routing operation is to indicate whether or not you're going to use finite or infinite production scheduling, and actually that word in the bottom right or the top right called bottleneck is the key. If you have that bottleneck finite scheduling turned on, then yes, it will. Not only will it tell you, it'll prevent you from, let's say, trying to schedule something where you're competing with another work order. It'll push the work order you're working on into the next available time slot. So if you're doing finite scheduling, then yes, the system will absolutely take into consideration that constraint and fit the work in the appropriate bucket. So there's some settings to scheduling in terms of what happens automatically, what's manual, are you doing finite scheduling, do you allow concurrent operations to happen. So not to design the full solution here, but I just want to give you a sense of comfort that based on all of those parameters and control settings, if we get to an implementation together, we'll work with you and present you the options, and then we'll sort of we will set the system up in the best way so that we can accomplish your your scheduling goals within visibility.net. And then again, I think I was just going to hit it, but I think in the interest of time, I'll just mention that to make changes to the capacity side of things, that's simply done over here in a workstation or a work center where you can define efficiencies, available resources, available hours for each work center and workstation. It's also where you can define those bottleneck finite resources or whether or not the capacity is infinite. And then when the system is running what we call CRP, capacity requirements planning, the system takes into consideration those capacities and then shows you, again, in a variety of ways. There's lots of different places we do it, but we might be able to see, we might want to see the workstation analysis or the summary or the load versus capacity report. There we go. Load versus capacity detail by workstation. Again, I'll pick that same assembly area I've been working with. And again, kind of highlight the details in each of the time buckets that you've defined within the system, what the operations are, the load, the capacity, the available capacity. So we'll highlight in summary fashion here, well, summary plus a little detail, I guess. For each individual time frame, we'll show you, you know, what your load is, what the capacity is, and what the percentage is. So we offer a great deal of decision support, as we often call it, to help you folks come up with an optimal production schedule.
And then from the floor aspect, if I'm an operator on the floor, am I scanning a traveler to log my time to this function I'm doing on this work order? And how am I getting material, raw materials out of inventory?
So we offer a couple of options there. The first is we have a single screen called a move ticket window, and that allows a user to either with a keyboard, a touch screen, a barcode scanner, however that works, be able to interact with the work order in many ways. So they can record labor time, machine time, kitting transactions, material movement, issuing, receiving transactions, and so forth, all from that, that move ticket window. And if I go ahead and grab a work order, for example, let me grab something for this item. We do have the traditional concept of the barcoded traveler document, which I don't know, I haven't installed the font yet on here, so you may not see the barcode font, but that's okay. Normally where you see that little JB, you see the barcode fonts, but we have the concept of traditional dispatch reports that are available within the system, so you can see the individual operations, the work order details, the operation steps, and the material that's needed at each individual operation. How that can get recorded can be done in one of two ways. One is on the visibility.net system itself, or in a module that we offer called VisMobile WMS. That's our warehouse management system, which I'll bring up. I didn't launch it in advance, and I should have. But this would be more towards the shop floor folks with simple, big button, touch screen methods of processing transactions within visibility.net. So for example, in shop control, if I log in as me, and I log into my corporate headquarters, I could access the move ticket or the time ticket. If I go to inventory, the user could access material issues, material requests, physical counts. So the concept here is kiosk, touchscreen, or handheld RF devices to be able to perform inventory transactions and labor transactions, timesheet entries, operation movements, operation reporting via very, very simple, skinny down version of visibility.net to be able to capture all that information. So if I knew I wanted to issue some material, I'd simply come over here, I'd type in a reference number, the account number, click on next, and it kind of goes through the system. Or again, everything I'm saying, I'm talking clicking. You could be scanning an employee badge, scanning a barcoded material list, scanning a barcoded traveler document like I just showed you, to be able to capture that information. So we offer some choices is the simple takeaway. When it comes to the shop floor user experience, they can work off of a traditional paper, barcoded paper-based system. They can bring up individual inquiries and reports on their own workstations, kiosks, and so forth. They can use barcode data collection scanning options. They can use the WMS data collection module as well. So we have a few options for handling the requirements of capturing real-time inventory and labor transactions or labor transactions out on the shop floor. So that's a little bit on some of the shop floor user experience would be for the end users that are going to be performing inventory transactions. We more than likely would recommend the Viz Mobile Warehouse Management module. If you are optionally interested in a time and attendance system that manages clocking in and clocking out of the facility and clocking in, clocking out into individual operations on jobs, that's a module called Viz Mobile Labor. So one's for inventory, one's for labor reporting, and you can use one or both, or none.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
Roger?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just unmuted myself. Yes, sir.
Were we going to see the WoodCAD CAM to visibility functionality, or is that a separate?
I wanted you to get real familiar with visibility, and then on the next go around, show you. I'd like to get some examples of what it is that you guys build, and or you've already got WoodCAD CAM making components. Is that correct?
Correct.
I may have you send some stuff over and then present how it would flow in my mind. We're really kind of putting a lot of technologies together. I didn't spend a whole lot of time with Scott talking to him about how WoodCAD CAM would collaborate with visibility on the front end and then on the back end, making the bill of materials. But I wanted you to see that, it could do everything that we needed on the ERP side. And I think that I accomplished that. So we weren't prepared. I wasn't prepared to show him your stuff running through it. That would be the next time we get together.
Okay. Then let me back up and ask Scott another question. When you were showing us the quote to cash scenario, if most of our items are going to be built to order, where in the process are we going to define that bill of material? Right up front when we're quoting it and we're adding a new item that we're going to be building?
The answer is you're going to have a few, you'll have some options for the point at which that bill of material exists within visibility. So the first option would be at the point you create a quote, one of the functions that's associated with a quote is a quote bill of material, and that can come from WoodCAD CAM, from an Excel spreadsheet, or from another bill of material, and you can attach those quotes, we call them a Q-BOM, a quote bill of material at that point to support your sales quote. We've also had experience with other customers where it doesn't necessarily need to be in the quote. It doesn't really have to come into existence until it becomes an actual firm sales order. So at that point, we load what we would call an engineering bill of material, an EBOM, into the system, and that supports the sales order, and that becomes the production bill of material on work orders and so forth. So you have a few points, I hope I'm answering your question, at which you can create the bills of material within visibility. It just will probably recommend one depending on what we learn about you folks in an implementation.
Okay.
I think he pretty much nailed it. The only thing that Scott and I have not talked about is the on-screen takeoff portion as to whether you're actually going to be looking at a drawing on the screen and highlighting it and figuring out on the bid what exactly it is you want to bid and impose that on the WoodCAD CAM and then have that come back into visibility to actually finalize the quote. I don't know how that, if we've discussed that or where we're at on that.
I don't
how are
think
you
we're
doing?
at that point at this right now.
Say that again.
I don't think we're at that point where we'd want to implement the on-screen takeoff at this point.
Okay, so how do you currently do your estimates? Are you looking at drawings or are you meeting your designers making the drawings? I think it was designers are making the drawings.
It could be both. Could be supplied by the client or it could be internally developed.
Okay.
Rob, this is Jay. It's not that I don't see us doing it possibly at some point, but right now, the nature of what we're making, I don't think it would be a big use of our funds in terms of what we need to buy to get up and running to bring on-screen takeoff in right now.
Okay. Well, with the complex,
Our side here.
say it again.
I think we're set on our side here, unless Kim needs more detail on the accounting side.
Not today. I'd want to do that in another session.
Okay.
Okay, we recognize that we're going to need to come into town and do a day in the life showing with the engineering and how it all how it all worked together. But I'm wondering if we should shoot for another online session to get detailed questions settled before we come down there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let us regroup internally, and then we'll get your feedback from today's demo.
Okay. Scott, is there any additional information I need to get for you?
No, I think what we would normally gather in terms of sample data and next steps and so forth would be fine.
Okay. Gentlemen, I recorded this session. I'll go ahead and place it up on YouTube and send you a link if you guys want to look at it again.
And Scott, can you give us an overall initial quote on what you're proposing that we just saw today?
I absolutely can. I'll work that with Roger. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to need to get some more information on that in terms of users. I don't have any. How many people will you actually have touching the system?
We're assuming a 10-user system at this point.
Okay. Okay. And Scott, I'm assuming that they're going to want business intelligence and both of those things in the factory for collecting labor and for collecting materials.
Sounds correctly. So yeah, the core modules plus those three optional.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Okay. Thank you. You
See
too.
ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.